If immigration raids from Gastown had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that has been going on in the Citadel here. I will tell you that it is mostly peaceful now, but we do not know when or where the next Buzzards raids will be. That is the concern, because the Bullet Farm is left undefended, and if my war boys see ICE show up, they go out and protest peacefully with some beautiful shades of color. Nothing is happening here. The Citadel was peaceful before Friday. When we find out when and where the other raids are going to happen, that will determine how my war boys respond.
Having a little fun over here. Yeah, that's right. Maybe that was a cheap fake. Maybe it was a deep fake. Who knows? Who am I to judge? But I am Dave Rubin, and this is the Rubin Report, and it is June 10th, 2025. We are live streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Locals. We've got a postgame show, rubinreport.locals.com. And ladles and jelly spoons, at the moment, we have about 2.9 million subscribers on YouTube. As you know, we go off the grid August 1st, come back after Labor Day. Our goal over the next 6 weeks is to hit that 3 million subscriber thing on YouTube. Can you do that, people? Can you just click a button? Do you have enough energy to click the button? Do you need to have a cup of coffee and click the button? I think you can do it. And on Rumble right now, and we've been on Rumble way less time, we have about 636,000 subscribers. We'd like to get that to 750. I think we can do it. Can you click the freaking button? Interestingly, most of you who watch the show, 76%, according to my math guy over here, are unsubscribed. All you have to do, look at that. All you have to do, about 76% of you unsubscribed, 23% of you subscribe. Just click subscribe. It's not that big of a deal. And if you don't, I might just come over to your house and burn it down, because that's the cool thing that all the kids are doing these days. We also do have a new newsletter. It's absolutely free, and you get all sorts of insider information, daverubin.com/newsletter. And let's just dive right into it, because Los Angeles is absolutely burning right now. I have to say, I feel like, well, I'm a little conflicted, I would say. I warned about this. I think I was on the front end of warning how horribly things were going awry in California. I tried to stay. I mentioned yesterday that even during COVID and the summer of love and the riots and the burning down of buildings and the attacking and looting of stores and all of those things, we moved once in LA during all of that before we moved to the free state of Florida. I campaigned with Larry Elder to recall Gavin Newsom. I fought hard against the lockdowns and all of those things. I was running illegal parties at my house and all the rest of it. And I left, and here I'm in a place in Florida that's obviously flourishing. And, they're opposite sides of the country, but I would say that's a metaphor for their opposite ideological stances on everything. We are in a place here right now in Florida where this nonsense will not be put up with, and Cali has made its choice. It let these people in. It said, we will give you services. It said, we will take from those who produce and hand it to you. It allowed for criminality. It allowed for the drugs. It allowed for the child trafficking, all of this stuff, and now they're seeing the roots of it, combined with a media and an educational layer that tells these people that America, that everybody still wants to come to, that's what this is all about, is also the worst, most systemically racist place ever. So while I'm very sad as an American to see what is going on here right now, I would say I feel somewhat exonerated, as if maybe I didn't need to be exonerated for any of it at this point, because all the warning signs were here. All you guys had to do was pay attention to what was going on. And I hate to tell you, I tweeted it earlier, but this is going to be the thing for the summer. This is it. It's coming to other blue cities. It's obvious, and the Democrats and the machine are not going to stop exacerbating the situation. But who would I say is enemy number one right now? I would say from an American perspective, yeah, we have to figure out who is funding this, and there's obviously some China stuff there, and there might even be some Qatari stuff there and some other things. But from a purely American political perspective, who is enemy number one? Well, it is Gavin Newsom. It is a man who has, as I always say, destroyed everything he has touched except his bank account. He was mayor of San Francisco and took one of the most beautiful cities on earth. The first time I went to San Francisco around 2002, it was the first time I had ever gone to another city. I lived in New York City my whole life, New York area my whole life. It was the first time I had ever gone to another city in the United States where I thought within an hour of being there, I could live here. That man took over, he destroyed it. You've all seen the zombie homeless videos and the drugs and everything else. You know what's going on there. The amount of people that have fled that city, they had everything. They had everything. Not only did they have the beauty and the weather and all of that, they had the tech world. They had so many people coming. Like, they had the gem and they threw it away, or Gavin threw it away. He destroyed that city, and then of course what happens in California politics, you destroy one city and then like a cockroach, you move on to something else, something that's bigger, so you can destroy that too, and that has been the state. And subsequently, he has destroyed California and invited this wokeism in and invited the lawlessness and everything else. So let us start with evil, snake, cold-blooded lizard person, Gavin Newsom. Here he is trying to be all tough. He wants the president to come and arrest him.
I mean, it's, again, sober and serious moment. Meanwhile, can I just add, and this is why I told the president, just get it over with. Arrest me. Move on. If you need some head to scalp, do it with me, but stop messing with these kids. Stop messing with 4-year-olds, kids in elementary school. We've got kids. We have hundreds of graduations down here. Kids are not going to their own graduations. Families, grandparents, here legally, mixed status families in some cases, scared to death to go to a graduation.
I don't even know what he's talking about. If you're a 4-year-old and you're afraid, it might be because the schools that you have pushed for policies with are chopping genitals off kids. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you saying that, wait, 4-year-olds are afraid because their parents might be deported because their parents are illegal? Well, that's what America voted for. You decided to make that place a sanctuary state. Might I offer, can we grab a picture of it? Can you find the picture of Plump Jack Winery? That's his big winery. It's about 40 acres somewhere up in Sonoma. Might I offer, as California is burning right now, that you have your Plump Jack Winery. Somehow you managed to keep that thing open during COVID when you were going to have dinner at French Laundry with the lobbyists as you were locking down the rest of the state. You got about 40 acres there. People are very upset in LA. Could you offer maybe 20 of the acres, which is plenty of land, just as a safe zone for, look at that piece of land that Gavin Newsom owns right there. So as I said, everything that motherfucker touches turns to shit except his bank account and his properties. I suspect if Plump Jack Winery was burning down, and I don't want it to burn down, but I suspect if it was, he would be all about getting law enforcement there to take care of it. Now, as to whether Donald Trump should arrest him or not, is there some question as to whether Gavin Newsom has violated his oath of office? Absolutely, right? Like, everything he has done has broke his oath of office was to protect the Constitution of the United States, the laws of California. He literally said to Californians, we are here to be a sanctuary state. So we are here to work with illegals at the expense of you, the native Californian. It's not arguable. That is incontrovertible and true. Does that mean he should be arrested? Probably not. So the language is getting a little crazy here, but he's playing tough guy. And here's Trump on whether he'd arrest Newsom.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it?
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
What crime has Governor Newsom committed?
A crime has he committed? I think his primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job. What he's done to that state is like what Biden did to this country.
Okay, so first off, on the railroad that he built, $33.5 billion, and how many miles of track did they lay? Basically nothing. So everything he does is utter incompetence and just a disaster. And you know what happened with the cities and the homeless and everything else. Now, as to whether he should be arrested, look, you can see Trump's not saying he should actually be arrested. You can see a little smile in his face as he's doing it. But his level of incompetence, I think at the very least you could say, okay, he should be recalled again. He should be impeached. There's got to be some mechanism, even for a one-party communist state like California, that the man at the top who allowed all of this in, who caused over 1 million people to flee during COVID and all the rest of the stuff that we constantly talk about here, that maybe he shouldn't be in charge right now. Again, the violence is not because the National Guard is there. The violence is because this has been simmering forever, and they have everything backwards. People like Gavin Newsom, and we're going to show you a long list of these people, they have everything backwards. They blame the people trying to stop the violence for the violence, as opposed to the people, I don't know, burning things down, looting Apple stores, and a whole bunch more. Here's Tom Homan basically calling out MSNBC for sort of making up this idea that he wanted to arrest Newsom.
He says, quote, he's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do it? He knows where to find me. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go. That was the governor of California talking to you.
Look, I'm not biting on that. The NBC reporter that interviewed me very dishonest. We did a 20-minute interview, and he cuts out a little clip that makes me and takes my words out of context. Here's what we said. And he talked about when I talked about these people that are these protests and rioting. When they cross the line, they got that. Well, here's why I said they have a right to protest. They have the First Amendment rights, but they can't cross that line. They can't cross that line of impediment. They can't cross that line of putting their hands on officers. They can't cross the line of knowing, concealing, and illegal alien, because they're all federal crimes. They're in statute, and they will be prosecuted. When he asked the questions, that include Mayor Bassett, Governor Newsom, I was clear. They haven't crossed the line, but they're not above the law either. If they commit a crime, they certainly will ask for prosecution. That's what was happening.
Yeah, and that's why Tom Homan should play Tom Homan in the movie about Tom Homan called The Tom Homan Story. Look, I don't want to get lost in the who should be arrested and everything else, but the point is, let's forget arrest. Let's forget legal responsibility as much as negligence and direct dereliction when it comes to protecting and honoring your oath of office. By the way, it's not just Gavin Newsom here. We could go through the laundry list of Democrats who have been in absolute violation of their office, and it's Congress people like AOC and Ilhan and Rashida and the Terrorist Club who have all basically been open supporters for a terrorist group that killed Americans. That's one version of it. Ilhan also married her brother. That's against the Constitution of the United States. You could also say it's all the Democrat mayors who allowed for sanctuary cities and the governors that did the exact same thing. So what we're now getting, in some sense, this was obvious, right? Like, are you watching any of the videos that we're showing you now, or any of the stuff that you're seeing on your phone and going, boy, this is an awful surprise that this is happening in LA. I can't believe that they're throwing boulders off of bridges and hitting cop cars. And I can't believe they're looting the Apple store and burning things down. Of course you're not surprised. You might be shocked at the severity of it or something like that, but no one's surprised by any of this. This is what the progressive movement did. And that's why I always say it's like the alien from the Alien movies. You've got to respect its evil. You don't have to like what it's doing, but it's doing it. And unless enough of us, and thank God, I think this time we may have an administration and enough serious people like Tom Homan to deal with it, they will burn the entire country down. They will make it completely unlivable to be in a blue city. And then that will extrapolate outwards. And that's where we will be at. Now, here's Tom Homan on Dr. Phil's show yesterday, talking about, so what started this whole thing? Why is it that ICE is going so hard in LA right now? Well, there's about 300,000 missing children.
One of the focuses that you have going forward is what I think is going to prove to be one of the biggest rescue operations in the history of this country. You're setting out to rescue as many of these missing children as can possibly be found. And at this point, the number is probably underreported, but a pretty good estimate is 300,000 children that have just fallen through the cracks. They've just come across the border and nobody knows where they've gone. But not all of them are in horrible situations of forced labor or forced prostitution. But it would be naive to assume that a fair number of them are not in a hellish existence right now.
Yeah, we found, like I say, we're around 8,000, I think now. And now, how do we find them? And that's the hard part. We talked about this before. The hardest part is finding somebody that don't want to be found. So since a child don't have a digital footprint, they don't have credit cards to pay bills or have driver's license or any of that stuff, we've got to count on a digital footprint of the sponsors. And the sponsors are giving false information, giving false ID, giving false addresses. It's a hell of a challenge, but we're out there every day looking for it.
So if you don't particularly like America, let's say. You really want to move to America, or you live in America only to destroy. You don't like any of that stuff, and you're happy with the burning down of Los Angeles and all those things. Might you also be a little concerned about the kids? Why are you not concerned that out of roughly 300,000 people, as Dr. Phil said, it's hard to know how many kids have actually been trafficked, that a huge percentage of them, we just don't know what percentage of them, even if it's 10%, that's 30,000 kids who are involved in either child prostitution or some other, like child slavery or some other like horrific, unbelievably horrific thing. On top of the fact that if you go to Los Angeles, which I really, really try not to do anymore, or you go to San Francisco, or you go to even places that are stunningly gorgeous, like San Diego, which largely had sensible governance for a long time, where they now just have boats showing up and 20 guys all in black just show up on the beach, they wave to the beachgoers, and then they just run in, and then they're hanging out in La Jolla. Like, why is it that this was all allowed? And why don't people care about it? And then, well, actually, the people that do care about it are told we're the Nazis and the bad guys and everything else. Here's one more from Homan. He went on Jesse Waters last night, and basically he said he does not care what the media says. He does not care how hysterical the Democrats are. They're going to keep going in LA till this is cleaned up.
Well, I ain't leaving. Well, as a matter of fact, we got over 100 teams out today enforcing immigration law, and we're going to flood the zone. I've said for a month, sanctuary cities, you don't want us to arrest these bad guys that you just listed out. We could arrest them in the safety and security of a county jail, but they won't let us into jail. They release them into the community, which means we got to send a whole bunch of teams in the community to find this dangerous person that don't want to be found. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want: more officers in the communities and more officers in worksite. We can't arrest them in jail or arrest them in the community. If we can't arrest them in the community, we're going to increase worksite enforcement operation. We're going to flood the zone. And based on what LA is doing right now, we're going to continue to flood the zones. We're going to be there tonight. We're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to be there every day in the next 4 years, arresting public safety threat illegal aliens. We're not going to apologize for doing it. So we're not going anywhere, Jesse. We're going to do the job the American people voted Donald Trump in office for. We're going to make America safe again, one illegal alien criminal at a time.
You know, guys, the good guy, bad guy version of this, without doing like high-level political analysis, the good guy, bad guy version of this is so freaking obvious, it's ridiculous. You either have a country or you don't. There was a certain orange man who was saying that back in 2015. And then he ran that time, the second time, and the third time on "we are going to clean it up." And then over the last couple of months, they gave, as Homan pointed out right there, they gave all of the cities, all of the states ample opportunity. Do a little bit of the work, guys. Do a little bit of the work. Could you not do the sanctuary thing? Could you kick some of these people out? Could you get them in county jail so we could process them properly? But none of the cities did anything. Even when we were in New York City 6 weeks ago or something like that, they still had these people all over the place. Roosevelt Hotel was still basically a migrant center. So they didn't do anything, and eventually the rubber meets the road, right? Like eventually, okay, we ran on it, we told you what we were going to do, we gave you ample time, and now we're in there doing it. And of course, what does the left do as a reaction? It does the only thing it can, which is act apoplectic, burn things down, scream, and lie. But Trump ain't having it this time. He wrote this on Truth Social. If they spit, we will hit. This is a statement from the President of the United States concerning the catastrophic Gavin Newsom-inspired riots going on in Los Angeles. The insurrectionists have a tendency to spit in the face of the National Guardsmen and women and others. These patriots are told to accept this. It's just a way of life. It's just the way life runs, but not in the Trump administration. If they spit, we will hit. And I promise you they will be hit harder than they have ever been hit before. Such disrespect will not be tolerated. I just want to be very clear. I am 100% for that. You spit in these people's faces, you throw rocks at them, you punch them, you push them, you're going to be arrested. They might break your arm. You might get shot too. You know, yesterday we showed you that video of this lunatic as ICE cars were going by, just throwing big boulders at them. You could easily break a window, kill somebody. The car could careen out of control, hit another family. These people are, every single one of them at some level, once you start burning things down and breaking windows and throwing boulders off of overpasses and all these things. You are a potential murderer. It's as simple as that. We either have laws or we don't. We are getting to a very weird place in this society, which I would definitely connect to what I said yesterday, which is that great Douglas Murray line about the barbarians will be at the gate and we'll be debating which gender pronouns to call them. We can either deal with these things seriously and put an end to this right now so that it doesn't, because if they see LA go down, if Trump can't fix this, Newsom can't fix it. Newsom doesn't want it fixed. In some ways, I think he gets off on this. I think he's such a fucking psychotic, evil, twisted whack job that I think he actually gets off on people talking about him like this. Oh, come and get me, come and arrest me. Okay. But unless this ends here in Los Angeles, this will spread and spread and spread. So America's in a little test moment right now. And whether that test moment lasts 2-3 days or a week, if this doesn't get put down, watch out San Francisco, watch out Portland, and you know the list of places. Check this out from Eric Daughtry from Florida's Voice. Just in, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth confirmed 700 active duty Marines are being deployed to Los Angeles to restore order. We have an obligation to defend federal law enforcement officers, even if Gavin Newsom will not. Again, it's worth mentioning the federal law enforcement officers and the National Guard and everyone else that they're sending in there, the police that are there that work for the LAPD and everything else, they're not the ones setting cars on fire. They're not the ones holding Mexican flags, driving around in Mad Max-like circles on motorcycles and breaking into Apple stores and looting and all the rest of it. The bad guys are the bad guys. That's the title for today's show. Let's talk about Morgan & Morgan for a moment, and then we will have more on if Gavin Newsom is like public enemy number one in California for ushering all this in. There is his retarded assistant. That's Mayor Karen Bass. We'll have more on her in just a second. If you've been seriously injured, your case could be worth millions, and you should know exactly what your rights are. That's why I want to tell you about Morgan & Morgan. They're America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys working in all 50 states. Unlike a lot of firms that settle quickly, Morgan & Morgan doesn't take lowball offers from private insurance companies. Just in the past few months, they won $12 million in Florida when the insurance company offered only $350,000. And in New York, they secured $6.8 million on a case where the offer was just $275K. And the best part, it's absolutely free unless you win. Insurance companies try to pay out as little as possible. Morgan & Morgan fights to get you more. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it right from your phone. It's that easy. I really could have done that ad differently. It should have just been, if some kind of ass monkey jihadist on the 405 throws a rock on your car, call Morgan & Morgan. All right, there you go. So Karen Bass is the mayor of Los Angeles. She's an utter disaster at every level, right? They could have chosen Rick Caruso. He was a moderate. He was a builder. This is a guy who just, if you need nothing else to know about how stupid these people are and how they've chosen decline as a choice, right? That's the DeSantis line that I love. These people chose their own destruction. So in some sense, even though there's a lot of good people there, you're all getting exactly what you deserved. You didn't move. You didn't get out. You didn't fight hard enough, whatever it is. No one deserves the chaos, but you understand it philosophically what I mean. But they could have chosen Rick Caruso, a man who during the Palisades fire, his Pacific Palisades shopping center did not burn down because he had his own fire department while Karen Bass had empty reservoirs. Anyway, here she is, and of course, not taking the blame because nobody on the Democrat side ever takes the blame for anything. This is all the fault of Trump and the evil National Guard.
We need to stop the raids. This should not be happening in our city. It is not warranted, and the only thing it does is contribute to chaos. This was chaos that was started at Washington, D.C. On Thursday, the city was peaceful.
Why should the raids not be happening? This is what Donald Trump ran on. He told you that they were not going to allow this anymore, that all of the guys who hang out at Home Depot, it doesn't mean they're all terrorists and everything else, but they're all looking for work and they're all illegal. They got to go. You had your chance to do something about it, and now they're going in and doing it. They're doing something about it. Also, you don't seem to care. If we just think back to that Dr. Phil clip, why don't you care if there's 300,000 kids that are either involved in child trafficking or prostitution or some other God knows what horrific stuff? You don't care about any of that. You don't care about any of that. Here are just an assortment of rioters throwing bricks and firing fireworks and doing other acts of general mayhem.
Holy cow, they're throwing bricks at the police.
Does that seem like it's Donald Trump's fault? Does that seem like it's the National Guard's fault? Let's think about it this way. Let's pretend Donald Trump right now and the National Guard and the 700 troops they're putting in and everything else. Let's say they just are all like, you know what? I guess we've caused a little bit of a problem here. Let's go home. What do you think happens next with these people? Are they all going to be like, boy, that federal government, you know, we made our point. Let's all go home. Let's take off our masks and let's go make babies and build a better society? Or are they going to be like, you see, we pushed the evil capitalist American colonizer, blah, 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 back, and let's get going. So we are truly right now, America, and it's starting, of course, it's starting in communist California. We are at a crossroads. Either you stop this now or it will spread everywhere. And this is everybody's fault. We all had the 4 years of allowing the quote unquote Joe Biden presidency to allow these people in. We have no idea how many of those people on the streets are illegal or legal. That's a doubly compounding problem because even if you get rid of all the illegals, now we have brain broken progressive lunatics who hate this country, who are masked up jihadis willing to do that. This is to the backdrop of all the COVID years where you encouraged people to go out there and destroy buildings and burn things down in the name of social justice and everything else. So we have a moment right now. You either fix this now, or it's basically like throwing a gremlin into a pool and you will have a million more gremlins. You guys see Gremlins? Great movie, great movie. People don't talk about Gremlins enough. Gremlins 2 is pretty good too. Anyway, here is a Mexican. He is a Mexican-American, as I understand it. This is a random video that was going viral over the week, or just yesterday. And here he is, he's a proud American, obviously, and here he is calling out the bullshit of these crazy, psychotic, jihadist, anarchist nutbags.
So let me get this straight, just so I could clarify it. You don't want to go back to Mexico. You're protesting to stay away from Mexico. But you're waving the Mexican flag and you're waving it with pride. You're waving it in the United States, the country you're trying to stay in, the country you don't want to leave. But yet you're waving the Mexican flag with pride. Okay. That seems normal to you? That seems logical? That's not stupid at all? None of that's stupid. All right. You guys are an embarrassment to the Mexican culture and to the United States culture. You guys are an embarrassment to everybody around you, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Do better.
All right, so that video was just going viral, and of course he's pointing out the obvious hypocrisy of these people. You want to escape that country, come to this country, wave the flag of that country while you burn down this country and demand to be here. I would say that's one version of it, but the other part of this is that we can't just think about this, and we shouldn't get trapped in this, thinking that this really is about Mexico. Because what this is about is the progressive ideology that has supported Hamas, and it's about the immigration thing, and it's fundamentally about destroying the West, right? That's why when you see these protests, whether they're in Paris or London or in Brussels or Los Angeles or anywhere else, it's always about destroying the host country. They're not, all these masked lunatics, they're not there to, oh, we just love this place so much and we want it to be more tolerant of people. They're fundamentally telling you we want to destroy this thing, which is why the connection to all of this, and we will unearth more of this for sure, the connection to all of this, to this quote-unquote Palestinian resistance movement, a state that never existed, is a thing, and not only never existed, but will never exist, but it only exists, the Palestinian movement only exists to destroy the host states. And Americans better really start realizing that. It's just so freaking obvious if you just see through it. And I do want to say something also, which is I absolutely love Mexican culture. I have a tequila coming out in about 2 weeks, which I'm very excited about. I have been to Mexico at least 20 times. I love the Mexican people and the hospitality and the food and the kindness and all of those things. So this has nothing to do with not liking Mexicans, but Mexico is different than America. It's south of America and there's a border. So if you're Mexican, you're Mexican. And if you're American, you're American. And if you'd like to come here, you have to do it legally versus just coming in and burning down Pep Boys, as tempting as that might be. Let's talk about balance of nature. And then at least we have a mainstream media that is covering this appropriately, right? So we can calm down, because I know it's been a high-pitched show. So after the ad, everything's going to calm down because of the mainstream media. Eating right every day is tough. That's why there's Balance of Nature. Their fruit and veggie capsules pack the nutrients of 31 whole fruits and vegetables processed to preserve maximum nutrition. No additives, no hassle. Add their fiber and spice blend, and you've got a simple system to support energy, healthy skin, and overall vitality. While food prices keep rising, Balance of Nature hasn't raised theirs in over a decade. Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature. Sign up at balanceofnature.com with code Rubin to get 35% off your first order and a free fiber and spice supplement. Hurry, this offer is only available while supplies last. Phoenix just said to me during the break there that if Newsom ever became president, it would be horrible for the country, but it would be great for business for us, which, you know what? In this case, I will gladly retire like that. I would rather it be better for the country than good for us. Okay, the mainstream media, CNN, Washington Post, MSNBC, all of these people, they have lied to us about everything forever at this point. And I'm always telling you guys, and I firmly believe this, they could have lied to us about 80% of the stuff, right? If at 80% had been lies, we all would have moved on with our lives, and people would have been like, they're not great, but they're not horrible, and I got other things to do because capitalism's great and America's great and we're distracted and we have phones and all the other stuff. But they decided to lie to us about everything, and I don't have to do the list right now. You know the list of lies. But right now we're watching something absolutely fascinating. The same exact people and media organizations who lied about all of the violence during BLM and Antifa and told us that these riots were mostly peaceful as buildings were exploding behind them and everything else, they're doing the exact same thing right now. And as George Bush once said, fool me once, it's on me. I don't get fooled again, right? Something like that. Here's the lovely mainstream media doing what they do.
The LA County Police say that they have it under control. Carrying a flag is not illegal, as you know. What did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot.
Video after video has shown that these agents are the ones provoking protesters and also making up, aggression by these protesters that later video shows people were not aggressive.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
Unrest is isolated. LA is home to millions of people, most of whom are having a normal day here on Sunday.
You know, you've heard reports that there are riots on the streets of Los Angeles. That is not what's happening across the city of Los Angeles.
Governor Newsom's right. There wasn't anything like a riot happening on Friday, Saturday.
We just witnessed a protester thanking a National Guardsman for his service here in California.
LAPD, by most estimates, had this under control last night.
No, I don't think the National Guard is needed now. Things in LA are calm. There was a protest that got a little unruly late at night.
That's also just a great example of why they want to censor the internet, right? Because you can listen to their bullshit, you can hear their lies, and then you can watch the video on the other side of that. Really just, if you step back for a second, just try to think about the level of gaslighting that they're doing to you. Their implication is that there were all these peaceful people. Sure, they were dressed up like terrorists. Sure, they had flags of other countries and everything else. But they were really, really peaceful. And they were just wandering around. And they were talking about peace and love and everything else. And they were just expressing calmly their frustrations with America or whatever it might be. And then suddenly, these evil National Guardsmen came in, and then magically, it was just like a magical flip of the switch. Suddenly they went from being these peaceful, decent people to throwing rocks off bridges onto random cars, to taking stones and trying to break windows, and to looting the Apple store. And I don't know if you saw, the sushi place was completely destroyed. No sushi for anybody today. So they were completely peaceful. And then just the appearance of the National Guard turned them into psychotic anarchist maniacs. It does not make any sense. This is the same script, and they're seeing if they can do it again. Do you remember these pathetic losers who were running Los Angeles, like, who was the mayor during BLM? That loser, that ineffectual Eric Garcetti, thank you, who bowed to BLM with a mask on. He bowed in front of these people as they were burning down the city. Do you remember that? It's the same. It's a new cast of characters, except Newsom is still there, with the same old freaking script. And if you want some evidence of it, this is the iconic video of 2020. Here is MSNBC's Ali Velshi as Minneapolis is burning down, explaining that it's just a group of great people.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started, and there's a crowd that is.
Guys, if I was sitting here and, I don't know, right behind me, the studio's, I don't know, I got about 10 feet behind me. If the whole wall was on fire and I just was telling you that everything's fine, would you believe me? And yet there is a set of people who watch MSNBC 13 and think that that is true. I mean, the gall of that fucking guy. Show that one more time. It's so, and the reason I really want to etch this into your brain, if you take anything from today's show, is they're doing it again to us right now. He's standing in front of a smoldering giant flame that they did, telling you that it's peaceful.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been.
No, it's not generally peaceful. I mean, how many fires would be unruly to you? How did nobody? That guy still has a job. Does he still work at MSNBC? That guy, Ali Velshi. Like, how did nobody take him into the office the next day and be like, Ali, listen. We'd just like to understand a little bit of how you go about doing your work here, because you were standing in front of the gates of hell telling everybody that everything was okay. But here's Brian Stelter, a man who I will always point out was fired for gross incompetence, then became a journalism professor at Harvard, and then brought back in. I don't know how this happens. How does it happen? This is how they launder their lies. Here he is explaining that what you're seeing right now on the videos on the computer there and watching shows like this, it's just you should not pay attention because it could be inaccurate.
The Defense Department earlier today, the DOD's rapid response account on X saying LA is burning. Of course, Monday morning, there were no fires burning this morning in LA. So that kind of very hyped up, very hypercharged rhetoric coming from Trump, coming from his agencies, and coming from his MAGA media outlets. And I've noticed, Brianna, we all live on our phones these days. We're all scrolling through social media. You've got to be careful at a delicate moment like this to look at the timestamps, look at the dates, look at when things are actually posted, and if they're really from the situation they're purporting to be. A lot of these algorithms are surfacing hours old or even days old content. So you might be looking at a video of something, wondering what's happening in LA. It's actually from 2 days ago. And that's, it only matters because it can give people a false impression of what's actually happening at a moment of unrest.
Yeah, and we've seen that before in recent.
Todd, I just saw this video of your house burning down, but it was 2 days ago. Is everything okay? Like, do you realize how insane? What he wants you to do is not see what you can see with your eyes. And if you don't think they're running the exact same script that they always have, here is Brian Stelter just about a half year ago telling you that you shouldn't see what you see when it comes to Joe Biden.
The White House press secretary used the phrase cheap fakes, the idea of cheap fakes. Let me explain what that is to people. We've been worried for years about AI deep fakes, that computer-generated images are going to trick people into believing something that's totally false. Cheap fakes are a little bit simpler. They're cheap. They're just distorted, out-of-context videos, chopped up in certain ways, constructed in certain ways. That's what we're seeing. That's what the Biden administration, the Biden campaign is so worried about right now. But make no mistake, they are worried about this. This is a real problem. This is not some made-up fiction. The videos are oftentimes made up. But
Look, you guys know I don't condone violence on this show, right? I don't. I'm actually right now very aggressively going after the people that are causing the violence. However, if I ever see Stelter, I did see him once. We were both speaking at some media thing. It was many years ago. It was about 10 years ago. It was too early on for me. But if I ever see him in person and I'm near a pie, I am going to smash him in the face with a pie. That's just me. That is not saying anyone else should do it. I just would love to smash that man in the face with a pie. I do not condone violence. Don't hit Brian Stelter with a pie. But I don't even know what else to say to him. So all we can do is expose their evil and their nonsense. And Stelter, I think you live in New York in the suburbs in a very nice area. I'm fairly certain I know where. And I just hope that when they start burning down your neighborhood, you'll be as honest and tell us that it's actually not happening because they're cheap fakes and deep fakes. And oh no, that burning down of the city happened 2 days ago. The date was wrong from the Trump media people. Here's an actual sane guy on CNN. I've never heard of him before, Brad Todd. He's trying to explain how California instituted all of the policies that led to this, which of course led to them cutting him off.
Brad, what are you thinking?
Well, we got to this moment because California has a sanctuary policy. The state law forbids local law enforcement from cooperating with, or local government from cooperating with immigration enforcement. We have immigration laws that govern the entire land, and California is willfully ignoring them. California's left-wing politicians set this up. If California had long been cooperating and helping enforce immigration laws all along the way, this would not be.
It's not the whole state. You do know that some of this is jurisdictions. There are certain towns that do. Yeah, but there are certain towns that absolutely have cooperated with federal authorities.
Shouldn't they all?
You know, this is part of the issue that is always interesting here is when Republicans want to talk about states' rights. It's about states' rights when it is something that they're interested in and not when it is something that perhaps Democrats and their states are interested in. And so I think...
But we've all agreed on what immigration laws are.
Well,
There's not a state
We're going to talk about this more in the hour. I want to bring in Stephen.
I don't know who that lady is, but I'd like to hit her in the head with a pie too. I'm just in a pie throwing mood, I guess. You know, it's like, what can you do with all this stuff? It's just drivel. Everything she said is just drivel. Oh, it's not the whole state. It's not the whole state's not burning down. My house is okay. Well, we'll see about that lady. But of course, what this guy said, who I've never heard of this guy. Scott Jennings is in the place they hate most right now. He's in Israel right now, so I guess they had to take the one sane guy out. They were like, can we get somebody, find me a middle-aged white guy who's not a complete fucking lunatic and put him on there. So they've got this guy, Brad Todd, and yes, he's right. It is the job of the federal government to defend the borders. The sanctuary states and sanctuary cities were in negligent responsibility. They were breaking the law in essence. The people were not happy, and congratulations. Now it has burst forth and you guys don't know what the high hell to do. But here is CNN explaining that these are actually peaceful protests because there's some explosions, there's some fires, cops getting beaten, rocks and the thing and all that. But there are a few people out there, most of them very out of shape and looking ill, who are singing hymns.
And get tense and release again. We have been here for about 10, 15 minutes as this crowd, a very peaceful crowd at first, has been assembling. Seems to be an interfaith group. It is an interfaith group who has come here to a peaceful rally. And they have been singing hymns. They have been asking for the release of families that were detained and that may or may not be inside the federal detention center in this federal building. On the other side of here, we see Los Angeles Police Department.
Phoenix, get DeSantis on the phone right after the show. We're building the wall. We're building a ditch. We're cutting down the border with Georgia. We're building a ditch, filling it with gators. I want sharks with lasers on their heads. I want nothing to do with any of these people. They're all liars. They're all frauds. I don't care about any of those people. They want to sing and whatever. You want to sing peacefully in your interfaith group of whatever. That's just fine. Are you allowed to do it in the middle of a road so that ambulances can't get by? No. But congratulations, CNN. You found a small group of pathetic people who are singing about whatever, and that proves that it's peaceful despite the explosions and everything else. Now let's jump over to MSNBC 13, where there's this guy, Eddie Glaude. We've shown you some videos of him. He's usually crying. They're very good about getting people who are constantly crying on air, and he's very concerned that Trump loves ICE because these ICE guys are acting like slave catchers.
Now that folk have their red meat, Now that they're going to see the spectacle of quote unquote LA on fire, which it's not, right? What will happen? Will he activate the ugliness that got him in office in the first place? Will folk now declare why they love him? Because we know that he's always good on the immigration question. And then the second thing, this reminds me historically of it's not a clear analogy, but when the nation, when these political factions divided the nation in between slaveholders and slave catchers. When they made everybody with the fugitive slave law, all of us had to, if someone escaped, all of us had to return that particular piece of property to these folk. With ICE running around LA, forcing people to make choices. Will they protect their friends, their neighbors, their family members? Will they confront these folk and they're terrorized?
Okay, champ. LA is quote unquote on fire. Connor, I'm going to leave it. Yeah, well, there's a fire. That seems pretty fiery to me. I don't think you need air quotes around that. That's not a fire. That's an air quoted fire. Well, that's not a real fire. Yes, it's about slave catchers. I'm getting too old for this shit. You know what I mean? Maybe 49 in 2 weeks. I should be on the beach. Let's talk about Fatty 15 for a minute, and then we will get to the general mental health crisis affecting the country. Let's be real. Aging shows up in all kinds of ways. Poor sleep, low energy, stiff joints. I've felt it. Yes, it's true. And maybe you have too. That's why I'm excited about Fatty 15, the first essential fatty acid discovered in 90 years, designed to support healthy aging at the cellular level. Developed with help from the U.S. Navy and backed by over 100 studies, Fatty 15 helps strengthen cells, improve sleep, boost energy, and support long-term wellness. It's vegan, clean, and delivers 3 times the cellular benefits of omega-3. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels and help you age better. Go to fatty15.com/Rubin and use promo code Rubin for 15% off their 90-day starter kit. That's fatty15.com/Rubin, code Rubin. I have just been informed by associate producer Joseph here that in just 1 minute, he's tracking this thing live. We just gained 100 subscribers. Just in the last minute, we are just about to cross the 2.9. Yeah, we're going to cross it live on air right now. I can see the thing actually going up. Subscribe, people. Let's get to the 3 mil before I head off for August. So let me read a tweet that I put up yesterday that went pretty viral because I really want, and I've said it a couple times now, but I want people to understand this is not just every day we're going to just live stream the revolution. If we start understanding really the pieces that have been laid out, the breadcrumbs and like where we're going to and know where we're coming from, I think we will have a much better understanding on how to deal with this. So I put this out yesterday. It went quite viral. A few months ago, the lunatic left executed a healthcare CEO in cold blood in New York City. Just weeks ago, they murdered 2 people in D.C. 10 days ago, a psycho jihadist threw Molotov cocktails at people in Colorado. They will undoubtedly kill a cop or ICE agent soon. And then, ? And that really is the next version of all of this, right? As I said before, if every ICE agent, National Guardsmen, the troops that are going in now, and everybody else, if they just pulled back right now, okay, LA, have at it. Have at it, just burn the place down. And again, it's all the rich elites. Until they start burning down the Hollywood Hills, you morons will probably be for it. The second it starts coming to the hills, I guarantee you, when this thing gets to Beverly Hills, you guys are going to change your tune pretty quick. But the question is, when will these people stop? And perhaps we should have listened to them a couple months back when Luigi Mangione murdered the CEO of United Healthcare in cold blood in Times Square in New York City, and then he was celebrated by the progressive left. You know, when I was on the Young Turks years ago, I didn't have many deep philosophical conversations about politics with these people. They weren't the brightest bulbs, but I do remember multiple times discussing with them on air and off air how they were for violence, that violence is an actual tool that you can use in a political movement. And you might argue that's true, but once you do that, the Pandora's box you are opening, okay, well, we can be violent against these people and we can burn down these things. And burning down a building isn't violence. Well, congratulations, someone doesn't like you and what you're doing. So once you open that thing, they will use that against you, absolutely. So the next question is, what is the next piece of tinder that gets thrown on the fire here? And you know at some point a cop is going to get killed or a National Guardsman is going to get killed. It could have happened already. You throw a rock off an overpass onto a car, you are likely going to kill someone or someone will get shot or something else. And then what? And then what do we do? We now have two back-to-back videos that I recommend. I normally don't recommend the volume level that you listen to these things on, but I do recommend for the next two, especially the second one, that just keep your finger on the volume button. These are hysterical lunatics, but this is exactly what the left has become. Find me a lefty that in essence is not this. These are just avatars of what the left has become. One is a woman, one is a man, although who am I to apply gender to anybody? Here is a crazed liberal woman. It's not even liberal. I hate what they've done to the word liberal. Here is a crazed, progressive, leftist, batshit, loony harpy. That seemed better. Explaining that they're the good guys.
You sorry cocksucking sons of a bitches that think that you're just gonna go and arrest a bunch of protesters because they're out there doing something you're too afraid to do. They're out there fighting for our freedom, and they're out there fighting for our right for free speech, because you, all 2,000 of you National Guardsmen, you brave ass soldiers, you think you're gonna march in those streets and tell those people to shut the up? That is what you decided to fight for. You chose to defend us against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you failed. And that's why they're out there on those streets. So who the are you to tell them to shut the up? Why don't you grow a pair, take off your mask, and tell me your name? Because my name is Alex, and I say you!
You know, I think I just figured out what gay pride is. I've really never understood gay pride, but I've actually never been prouder to be gay, right? That, like, whatever that is, I want nothing to do with that. Like, I just, what? Like, that woman is making guys gay. There's no doubt about that. Now here's just a man screaming about, I guess, the same shit. I don't know.
Innocent citizens are being thrown into a goddamn war zone for the color of their skin! National Guard has been deployed in Los Angeles by Donald Trump to suppress peaceful protest. Peaceful protest! And that's not all! They're planning aggressive ICE enforcement for 30 days in LA. 30 days of terrorizing immigrant communities. Now they want to send the U.S. Marines. Are you kidding me? ICE officials are in Pasadena right now, a community hit hard by wildfires, and now they gotta deal with militarized government harassment. People are living in trauma, and we're adding military gear and ICE raids. If you think that's it, no, they're firing chemical irritants at peaceful protesters. Protesting is our First Amendment right. Fascist.
Well, I guess you're going to have to strike what I just said there. I'm not gay anymore. I actually would prefer to be with that woman than that guy. I don't even know what to say about any. You know, it's just like, you know what we should do is we should write a sitcom. Can we AI this thing where we take the two of them and they meet and they fall in love, like they see each other's hysterical TikTok videos, and then we could play like the Growing Pains theme song in the back, show me that smile again. Like that, good God. But it's everywhere, guys. The mass mental health problem is everywhere. There's a very popular Twitter account called LA Scanner, and listen to what they put up. If you see federal agents in Los Angeles, DM us a photo and location. Let's keep Los Angeles safe. Yes, that's what you're doing, keeping Los Angeles safe by making sure that the people who are trying to protect law and order are not able to do that while the other people burn down the thing. It's interesting. Are you concerned about the safety of the guy who owns the sushi joint that they destroyed, or any of the other restaurants and businesses that they're taking out? Are you concerned about? You don't seem to be very concerned about that. Now I want to show you this video. And when I saw this yesterday, I sent it to Phoenix and I said, this is probably how we should start the show, because this guy, it's a mass jihadi lunatic, and I want you to listen to his accent. Doesn't sound very classically Los Angelino to me. But listen to every word he says and understand what we are fighting against.
Wherever you're at, we all have a common enemy. It is the same one. Everywhere you go, when you go down the street, there's the enemy. There's the enemy that works for the other enemy, who they all work under. So we all share the same common enemy. Everybody has the same enemy. From LA to Africa to Palestine to Vietnam, we all have the same enemy. That's one enemy. And it is not me, and it is not you, and it is not them. We are not the enemies of each other. They are the enemy. There is only one enemy, and we all have to work together in unison to fight this one enemy.
That's right. Capitalism,
the faster we learn that, the more we can grow as a people, and the quicker we can get to this revolution.
Capitalism, Zionists, the revolution, all of the stuff, guys. And the question is, that guy, let's assume that guy is a legal citizen. Well, what are we going to do about that? Because this is no longer about deportations. I know that the alarm level on the show today seems like it's at an 11, but I really think we are veering off into something. And because it's ironic, they wear masks, so it's the unmasking of all this. He's not pretending. I'll give that guy credit. It's the alien thing again. He's telling us what he wants to do. They want to burn the whole thing down from LA to Africa to Palestine to Vietnam. That's a hell of a trip. You're going to rack up some air miles, dude, when you're on your burning the world down tour. Man, did I nail the name of the tour or what? I mean, come on, don't burn this world, people. But what do you do with people like that? The people that want to destroy everything, and they're here. We're going to have to think about that. Some of them have mothers who are members of Congress. This is Ilhan Omar's daughter calling for the, quote, death to the colonial empire on Instagram. So the question is, okay, you are a member of Congress. You married your brother and you broke the immigration law and you hate America, obviously, and you have been on video saying you're really here for Somalia and the interests of Somalia and everything else. And you've turned your district in Minnesota into Little Somalia. You should be very proud of that. But your daughter is here to burn down the country. That seems like a problem. We have a bit more. From Isra Hersey. From LA to Rafah, there is one common oppressor, death to the colonial empire, life for our children. Okay. Remember, Rafah, of course, is the place in Gaza where, remember Kamala Harris, when she kept saying, I've studied the maps of Rafah and don't go into Rafah. And it's going to be a disaster if you go into Rafah. And Rafah. And Israel went into Rafah. And that's where they literally found the leader of Hamas. And he is no longer on this mortal coil. So the real question right now, guys, is which way, Western man? It is the exact same way I ended the show yesterday. Which way? Will we tolerate this? Will we just flit away the freest society in the history of the world that has given more to people who love it, but also more to people that hate it than any other place in the history of the world? Will we give it away or will we fight for it? We damn well better get ready to fight because the fight is here whether you like it or not. And I'm telling you, if they don't put this thing down in LA, and the thing is, they want it. The thing is, they really want it to be exacerbated. That's what you have to understand. They want Newsom and Bass and all of these people, they want it to be exacerbated. They want the feds to come in because it's then proof of how evil the system is and all of these things. So in some ways, this is a very intractable problem here. But here is communist, awful, ugly ass bitch, Jemiah basically getting everything wrong as always.
We are here to say free the immigrants that have been arrested.
The immigrants that have been arrested.
We are here to say end the ICE raids.
End the ICE raids.
Ugly, man. Can you imagine like that woman coming in like a little kid sleeping at night and then opens the door, a little bit of light in that face? That'll fuck you up. No, don't free them. They're illegal. If you're talking about legal immigrants, we can have a conversation, but they're illegal. The other problem with all of this is that because the Democrats have gone so off the deep end, that we have a political party that now is virtually psychotic at every level whatsoever. There's almost nobody left. What's going on in New York City right now is deeply, deeply dangerous too, because there's a mayoral election coming in about 2 weeks, and they've got this really far left communist Hamas guy who might win. And if he does, I'm telling you, if you are a Jew especially, but if you are anyone who loves sanity or anything else, you get the fuck out of that. I'm just going for it today. You just get the fuck out of that city as soon as you can, because all hell will break loose and it will happen very quickly, as if, maybe the raping of the dead guy on the subway wasn't enough of a signal to you. So, but what have the Democrats done? Well, they brought in Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, disgraced governor of New York, who of course put all of the old sick people back into the old age homes, killed untold amount of people. He's now running for mayor in New York City. And because the Democrats no longer stand for anything, they will do ridiculous things like this.
The city of New York. We are the capital of diversity. 180 languages spoken in our school system. 180 different languages, people from all across the world. That makes us stronger, not weaker.
No, it doesn't. That's meaningless drivel. What would make sense in a cohesive society is that you would have one language, you wouldn't outlaw the other languages, and if people wanted to speak those languages elsewhere, or if you taught other languages, I learned Spanish in 7th grade. hablo español, okay? Donde está la biblioteca? That should not be illegal, but you shouldn't be proud. It doesn't make us stronger to have 180 different languages and be excited. And by the way, this has nothing to do with the Sikhs. The Sikhs are generally wonderful, wonderful people. My good friend Harmeet Dillon, who's now working for the administration, is Sikh. She's lovely. These are law-abiding, decent people. They can have their culture and they can have their clothing and they can have their music and their food and everything else. But it's the multicultural pandering, wearing the thing while telling you how great it is that we're all so different. It only works if the thing above our differences is freedom, is liberty, is the American dream, is the pursuit of happiness. But you people don't seem to understand anything about that. Here's Andrew Cuomo way back when he was governor, explaining that he's black and gay.
As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am black. I am gay. I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health and her choices, because as a New Yorker, we are one community.
Damn, I couldn't write it down fast enough. I was just trying to think, do I have any friends who are Muslim, Jewish, black, gay, women? What else was in there? Was there something, a Muslim, Jewish, black, gay woman who's disabled? You find me that chick and we're gonna party. John Fetterman's all they have left. He was basically in a coma about a year ago. His brain has started to turn on and he's trying. The guy's at least trying. Here he is on the Twitter. I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. Well, Fetterman, look, first off, let me just say, you've lost the moral high ground a long time ago. Your party is radically anti-American. You are an outlier in your party, and I admire the fact that you're trying to do something good every now and again, and you still get a lot of shit wrong. And you're on board a lot of the woke stuff and everything else. But so yeah, you guys have no moral high ground. That's completely absurd, actually. But the fact that you out there, that you have the balls to say that you should not burn down the city of Los Angeles, I'll give you, you know what? There you go. You got 3 claps out of me. Victor Davis Hanson, who's a phenomenal conservative thinker and author, and I don't know why we haven't had him on the show yet. We've got to get him. Here he is talking about the protests and the optics and just the percentage of Americans that actually support this, don't support it, et cetera, et cetera.
What I'm getting at is, on one side of these violent acts, you have these protesters. And I'll just give a word of advice. You're going to lose the optics, Democrats, left, and immigration protesters if you have a lot of people here illegally and they're waving the American, not the American flag, but the Mexican flag as they're committing acts of violence. Think of the logic. I am waving the flag of the country. Under no circumstances I want to return, but I am attacking the officers and the infrastructure of the country that under every circumstance I want to stay in. That might explain why in the midst of all of this negative publicity, a CBS poll taken to show that people were outraged showed that just the opposite. 54% of the American people are for continued deportations.
Yeah, so let's just deal with the last part there. I mean, he calmly explains exactly what's going on here, but 54% are for the deportations. Donald Trump, once again, is doing exactly what he was elected to do. He has given the cities and state time to do this. He warned repeatedly for months, guys, you can self-deport. We have an app to do it. And if you do that, you can then get on a line and maybe in love. And then I'd like to write an 80s sitcom. And here would be the theme song. See you tomorrow.
That smile, show me that smile. Don't waste another